There, it will show there.
Okay.
And then, you know, the footage, you will see the footage there as well.
The footage will be playing, DJ, as you talk to what you say. Don't let that disturb you. You just continue talking to us. Countdown and in 5, 4.
Good day, viewers, and welcome to this special broadcast. This broadcast is brought to you by the Government Communication and Information System, also known as the GCIS. My name is Rose Moodley, and I'm joined in studio today by the Acting Cabinet Spokesperson, Ms. Phumla Williams. She will be unpacking for us Cabinet's deliberations this week. Welcome, Ms. Williams. Lovely to have you.
Good morning, Rose, and good morning to the viewers.
Now, Ms. Williams, just to kickstart, let's get into Cabinet's position on the various developments that have taken place this week. I understand it was quite a packed Cabinet program. Many issues could have been discussed. Now, land continues to be quite a big issue. Let's talk a little bit more about that. As part of government's drive to give back land to the people of South Africa, this week we saw the first ever restitution of land to descendants of the Griqua community. What did Cabinet have to say about this?
Thank you very much, Rose. I think you're correct that the Cabinet really did appreciate this development. As you will appreciate in the previous cabinets, we did say that the work that is being done by the Deputy President leading the team on the land restitution is at the center of Cabinet in appreciating what has been taking place. And this specific one, I think it's a first of its kind for the Griqua community. And what is also worth to note about this program of government, it's not about correcting the wrongs only. It is correcting the wrongs, but also growing our economy and creating jobs. I think in a bigger scheme of things, what we see about this program of land distribution is that we begin to create the economic activity in the outlying areas. And that is what is exciting. And I think that is what also is of note, that the Cabinet really appreciated the program that is unfolding in these outlying areas.
Now, Ms. Williams, some major relief for South Africans this week, the easing of load shedding. Let's talk about Eskom, and were there any new reports from Cabinet on this?
Yes, also, Rose, just to say that the Cabinet had a standing update from the Deputy President on the activities of Eskom. And I think one of the encouraging things in the last report has been the stabilization of the coal supply and also the diesel. And you remember that one of the challenges that they had in the previous has been the supply of coal, has been the issue of diesel. The report that was presented by the Deputy President is that that area has stabilized the coal supply, the diesel, and the water. But also she did appraise the Cabinet on the technical review work that, yes, since they've been appointed, they've done a lot of work. They are expecting a report in the next week on what are the interventions that can be put in place in as far as the proper maintenance program for the Eskom. But lastly, I think the Cabinet did appreciate the work that has been done by the Eskom management, and also it did really extend a word of appreciation to the executive of Eskom, but also appealing to South Africans to say, let us also in these trying times of Eskom do our bit in terms of energy saving, basics of, switch off your lights if you are not using them, using energy bulbs, and just basic things that to assist us to weather the storm. But I think also I should indicate that in the report, there was also a reflection on the financial position of Eskom. And unfortunately, the financial position of Eskom has not yet improved. But I think the Deputy President did assure us that there is work that is taking place. And with time, we will keep being updated of what are the things that are being done to address also the financial position of Eskom.
Now, for our viewers, progress on Eskom and electricity generation, as indicated by the Minister of Public Enterprises, will be provided in the upcoming week. Now, Ms. Williams, let's go on to the issue of investments. Investments and the investment drive as such seems to be really high up on our president's mind. And more recently, we've seen major inflows of investment into the country. This is really great news for South Africa. Was this deliberated on in Cabinet this week?
Yes, I think also that's one of the issues that has been reflected on, and in terms of the progress, because I think I should indicate that some of the issues that I was mentioning is almost like getting an update of what is it that we are doing. And you're correct to say that the president has put the issue of investment at the center of it. And one of the appreciation is the Durban port expansion, because one of the issues that is being appreciated is the fact that the Durban port on special economic zone is one of the only one in the African continent which really puts together a whole suite of activities that encourage investment. And the report that was presented in this last cabinet is that there is an extension of the area, which would really mean more investments into that particular hub of activities for the special economic zone. And of course, then there has been an appreciation of the Hisense that has invested more money in terms of their techno production and also the activities in the Western Cape.
Now, if you've just joined us, you're watching a special broadcast brought to you by the GCIS. My name is Rose Moodley, and I'm joined in studio this morning by the acting cabinet spokesperson, Ms. Phumla Williams. Now, Ms. Williams, you indicated that there were some key cabinet decisions that would have been taken this week. Can you just briefly outline some of these for us?
Yes, Rose, there are quite a few decisions that have been taken by cabinet. And I think the one that I really want to flag, because there are quite a few, is around the approval of the gender responsive framework. Because I think if you will recall that one of the biggest challenges that we have in the gender equality and the gender interventions that we make as government, there has never been a data disaggregation of what is it that we are doing as government. Now, this framework is going to drive the budgeting process to have a framework of disaggregating data in as far as budgeting. It is a framework that will also create a framework for the monitoring. It will create a framework for the purposes of auditing, because over the years, we've never been able to say whether we're making progress or not making progress in as far as gender equality within our programs in government. And this framework is going to enable us to begin to force the budgeting process to have a framework of how a department puts together a budget that will be responsive to what the interventions will be for that specific department in as far as narrowing the gap in terms of gender equality. The second document that was approved in cabinet, which is tied in with the evaluation reports that were done by the DPME, is the evaluation of the National Drug Master Plan. You will appreciate that as a country, we're facing huge challenges in as far as the abuse of drugs, particularly by our young people. Now, the evaluation through the Department of Planning and Monitoring has done a lot of extensive work in as far as reviewing the 5 years drug master plan. And one of the findings that has been established in this evaluation has been the segmented way or a segmented way of doing the interventions in as far as a drug master plan. So what it is doing is putting proposals of creating a structure that will pull together all the strategies of the various departments so that they begin to be addressed and monitored at a central level. And that is an intervention that has been adopted by Cabinet to say, moving forward, they will create an anti-drug structure that is more or less similar to the AIDS Council, but it is a structure that is going to be pulling together all the interventions that are done by departments and taking the work forward.
Now, Ms. Williams, let's move on to some other issues that are certainly making headlines this week. I understand that Cabinet was briefed on the outcome of the Commission of Inquiry into Tax Administration and Governance by SARS, also known as the Nugent Report. What was Cabinet's position on this?
I'm sure by now the viewers have already had an access to the report itself, but the Cabinet has appreciated the report. It has also accepted the recommendation. I think the report is making about 27 recommendations. It has mandated the Minister of Finance to take the process forward in implementing those recommendations. But it also used the opportunity to thank the Judge Nugent, together with the panel and together with everybody that has produced this excellent work, which is appreciated and which is going to be assisting government in really driving the SARS to be what it is meant to do.
Now, let's move on to issues of education in the country. And we know that there's major developments in this regard. I understand that the Department of Higher Education and Training has allocated an amount of 967 million rand to settle the historic debt owed to universities by thousands of students. This is really, really big news. Did Cabinet speak about this?
Yes, I think, Rose, if we can also say to South African, it's one of the issues that has been really bothering students and also bothering government, by the way, because I think as government, we've made a commitment to say no young person should be deprived of going to tertiary because of the circumstances where he comes from. And one of the issues that has been bothering a lot of students that are in the system has been this historical debt. And it's not the historical debt of people who have already exited, but it's the students that are already in the system. So Cabinet really appreciated the work that has been done by Minister Naledi Pandor, but at the same time, it is very much aware that we're still a long way in addressing all the issues that the students have been raising. But what they are saying is that they appeal to the student to continue engaging with the minister in finding solution, because it is through this collaboration that they will be able to deal with other outstanding issues. Because I think Cabinet is the first one to appreciate that, yes, there are some issues that still need to be tackled. But what we are saying is that we have dealt with this, but I think we will continue with a lot of working together to try and find other ways of dealing with other outstanding issues.
Yes, certainly some very big relief for students there.
Absolutely.
Now, the issue of gender-based violence, another big issue for the country. Let's talk about that for a little while. Did Cabinet deliberate on it?
Rose, I did mention earlier that the last Cabinet has adopted this framework, the gender responsive. And you will recall that we've been battling over the years in trying to say departments have to budget and budget in a manner that will drive the program of narrowing the inequalities, especially as they affect women. And yesterday also, the president has made a public pledge of saying we are going to work with the society in dealing with the gender issues that are affecting society, especially in as far as the gender violence that is affecting our communities, which we have openly accepted that it is a crisis in our country. And yesterday, the president was out there saying we are going to work together. And this is the framework, is one of the first intervention that the Cabinet is saying we need to begin to deal with the issue, because there's also an appreciation that there's a lot of work that has been done. However, there's never been a way of monitoring whether we're making progress or not.
Now, moving on, a big highlight on the country's calendar is the upcoming general elections. Thousands of people are getting ready to go to vote on the 8th of May. Just a few weeks' time, this is going to be happening. Did Cabinet have anything to say on this?
Yes, the Cabinet has used this last Cabinet to thank all the South Africans who have gone out, especially the young people who heeded to call to go and register, especially the first-time voters. But it also uses this opportunity to appeal to all the registered voters to go out in their numbers, to exercise their democratic right, because it is a constitutional right for us to keep our democracy alive by going out and voting for whoever that you want to vote for. But the Cabinet is saying, let us do that. It is your constitutional right, and let us do it in a peaceful manner. And it also used the opportunity to assure South Africans that they will ensure that these elections are held in an environment that is peaceful. No one can be intimidated, and there's no violence. It has assured South Africans that they will do that.
Now, let's move on to the SABC, another hot topic. Did Cabinet deliberate on providing perhaps any support for the SABC?
Yes, I think the Cabinet has appreciated the work that is being done by the Minister, Minister Stella Ndabeni, together with the Minister of Finance. They are currently working with the SABC, assisting them in obtaining the 3.2 billion loan that they will obtain through the commercial bank. Cabinet remains committed to assist the SABC because it is the public broadcaster, and making sure that they obtain that loan through the commercial banks.
Now, Ms. Williams, we're coming to an end of the special broadcast. But before we close, you said earlier that this was Cabinet's last sitting of the fifth administration. I would imagine then that Cabinet would have taken some time to reflect on this period.
Yes, it was the last Cabinet. And I think you will see in the statement, the Cabinet used the opportunity to thank all South Africans, business, civil society, and everybody, because I think the work that they have done in the last 5 years, it was the work that was done with the assistance of South Africans as a whole. It has used the opportunity to also extend a word of appreciation to some of the international bodies that have supported the work of South Africa in trying to strive to make South Africa a better place, to make Africa a better place, and also to contribute to the global peace. And South Africa Cabinet did appreciate that work moving forward. And lastly, I think it did pay homage to some of the members of the executive that have passed on. I think the viewers will remember the Minister Collins Chabane, the most recent being Minister Mulewa, Edna Mulewa, and also just generally all the executive members that have been driving the program of making South Africa a better place in all spheres of government. The Cabinet has paid homage to all of them.
Now, on a sad note, the past week saw a trail of devastation left by Cyclone Idai, but we also saw South Africa play a really big part in the effort to lend a helping hand to our neighboring countries. I can imagine then that Cabinet would have deliberated on this very poignant issue.
Yes, they did. And I think if I could just remind the South Africans that in the previous Cabinet, we did reflect that the president had received a request, and that request has been acceded to. There has been a lot of interventions that were done by South Africa through the Defense Force, through the South African Police, through the Department of Health. But importantly, the NGOs have really outdone themselves in showing the spirit of Ubuntu. They've gone out with their humanitarian support, and the Cabinet uses this opportunity to also thank the South African Defense Force and the police for their bravery, because their intervention has truly shown the spirit of South Africa being part of the continent.
We take a look now at a short video showcasing South Africa's efforts in lending a hand to our flood-ravaged neighbors.
Destruction impacting the lives of more than 2 million people, including displaced hundreds of thousands of people, destroyed vast areas, cut off communication, and made roads impossible for first responders. In the true spirit of Ubuntu, President Cyril Ramaphosa has responded to the call for assistance from our neighbors and has authorized the dispatching of various interventions, including search and rescue capability and specialized rescue teams. The African Union, along with the South African Development Community or SADC, are leading response efforts. The South African Relief Mission, consisting of elements from the SANDF, the SAPS, and Department of Health, are working with their Malawi, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe counterparts to assist in rescue and relief operations. The SANDF has been deployed since the 16th of March 2019 to support flood relief efforts, conducting search and rescue missions. The South African Air Force helicopters are being used to rescue and airlift people from flooded areas and also to provide the life-saving and sustenance supplies to coastal areas. The African Union has called on all African Union member states and larger international community to urgently step up their support to address the challenges at hand. Both the African Union and SADC have contributed emergency funds to assist in the ongoing humanitarian disaster. To date, a total of 417 people have been rescued, 11 have been treated for various medical conditions, 30 have been airlifted to other medical facilities, and a total of 7,500 kilograms of cargo have been transported. President Ramaphosa and the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, have been calling on individuals and organizations, both locally and internationally, to donate non-perishable foodstuff, blankets, clean water, medical supplies, and financial aid to assist displaced people. NGOs, companies, and individuals wishing to make donations towards this humanitarian crisis can contact the Department of International Relations on 012 35 11 000. That's 012 35 11 000. Or Mr. Ndibu Mabaya on 083 645 7838. 083 645 7838. In the spirit of Phumla, let us join hands with our neighboring countries and heed the call of assistance to those in need.
Brilliant effort there from the South African side. That video was produced by the GCIS in collaboration with Government's Audiovisual Forum, DIRCO, and Defence News.
The Cabinet would appeal to more South Africans to lend a hand. You have the number that was put on the screen. We still continue to request South Africans to lend a hand and contribute in whatever way that they are able to contribute, and through the numbers that we have highlighted in our screen.
Ms. Williams, we've come to an end of the special broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us in studio today.
Thank you very much. And just to say, to remind South Africans that that was the last cabinet of this fifth administration, but would like to assure South Africans that the work of government has not stopped. We continue to doing our work. The executive continues leading and making sure that the work of government continues.
For a full statement of this week's cabinet meeting, you can go to the website www.gov.za. That web address again, www.gov.za. From me, Rose Moodley, and the rest of the team here at the GCIS, we wish you a pleasant day further.
Thank you.